Hey everybody. So Amanda and I initially knew that we wanted to focus on gender roles, and kind of as we did our research, we started to lean towards STEM and how that has influenced how we treat different genders in school and what types of things we try to encourage for our students. To start, I'm going to have you watch a clip from the show What Would You Do?
Where is this guy? Terry, right? He is looking for a dynamic new employee. No, he's not here. And she is more than qualified for the job.
Hi, I'm Terry. Here for the interview. Nice to meet you.
You're Terry.
Yes.
The problem is, she isn't a he. You do have a great resume, but I gotta have a man. It's gender discrimination. She doesn't want to take it.
Are you serious?
Yeah. The drama is brewing along with the coffee at Brownstones in Amityville, New York.
I'm Kristen Rose Garofalo, who's looking for a job.
I'm Jeremy Holmes, and I'm playing the chauvinist. We're gonna need a shark to deal with this guy. Barbara!
John!
You ready to kick off the new season of What Would You Do?
You betcha the shark is here. Let's go.
Let's do it. Barbara Corcoran is a Manhattan real estate mogul and star of Shark Tank.
Who's saying I'm giving the money? Mind your business, you're out.
With her business experience, she can certainly spot a predator in the workplace. Today, she'll help navigate the choppy waters of our scenario.
So exciting. This is a fun job here.
Let's let the fun begin.
Excuse me, Mr. Holmes? Hi, I'm Terry.
Terry.
I'm here for the interview. Nice to meet you.
This woman, Cookie, is sitting right next to our actors. But don't let that name fool you.
I don't need any secretaries or assistants. I'm looking, for a sales manager.
Cookie and her daughter-in-law-to-be are shocked.
I see you got a ring there. How serious is your relationship?
I'm engaged.
Right.
I'm interviewing for a position,
You're not
not to
married.
date you.
You're not married, though. Okay.
So that will make a difference in me getting hired?
No, I'm not going to hire you. I mean, I can't. But if you want to have a few drinks, that'd be great.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
eat them alive. This is good.
Cookie's eyes are rolling as our businessman steps outside for a second.
I feel bad for you. Wanted to date you. I put my house in these guys. What am I supposed to say to that?
Before she can do that, we tell our actress to leave.
You're right. Would you please stop on my left? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And now
So I know that this is kind of an exaggerated example, but I think it does illustrate, a lot of things that our students are going to face and as they get older, and also things that they see just day to day, outside of school as well as probably in school. We as teachers do need to recognize that there are a lot of outside influences on gender, and those have implications for our classroom. How can we as teachers counteract gender bias that our students face in our society? How do we promote girls and boys to pursue passions and careers that are not the typical? So we wanted to look at what the research has to say about teaching different genders in our classroom. So the first study I looked at, it was the oldest one we looked at, is from 1999, but I thought that it was interesting because of some of the questions they asked and the results that were seen. It was a group of female students, middle school age, that were in a 2-week summer institute, and they asked them these questions before the workshop and also after the workshop. So some of the questions are just, in my eyes, kind of crazy. So, for example, when a woman has to solve a problem in math or science, she should ask a man for help, and 48 of the girls out of 52 said that they strongly agree with that. Even the other one, I would have more faith in the answer to a math or science problem solved by a man than a woman. and 46 of them strongly agreed with that. And so I just thought that these were crazy, like, kind of responses. But the fact that these students were answering this way, and specifically students that are the age that we teach, I found this really interesting. And this is kind of what led us to look more into how STEM has helped change some of these misconceptions for girls and boys alike. And so that's where we're leading into next. So I did find some things that I thought could help in this article before we lead right into some of the other research that we looked at. For example, females seek help from one another first, then the teacher. This was something that they just mentioned, and I think it can be... Before we head into the other research, I did want to go over some other interesting findings from this research article. For example, they mentioned that females seek help from one another first, and then the teacher. They usually feel more comfortable and confident with people that are close to them. Boys prefer groups of 3 or more, whereas girls prefer individual or partner work. 52% of girls prefer female-only classrooms, and I thought that was pretty interesting, but I know for myself I see this in 6th grade just because of the different maturity levels. I know a lot of the girls can become frustrated by some of the behaviors that they see with the boys. And so as far as teachers, I think that we just need to be aware of the influences on our students, especially from the media. We all know how they view men and women, even just appearance-wise, that puts pressure on our students every day. We also need to discuss and incorporate non-traditional examples of careers, promoting, male nurses, male teachers, while also promoting, female engineers and female scientists. I think that it needs to go both ways with genders. And I think as far as grouping, we need to seek student input and make sure that they're feeling comfortable with the people that they're working with. And I think that most of us probably do that with, the move towards student-centered learning, but this research definitely supported that idea. So next we're going to look at some research from Amanda.
I decided to look into research on why girls seem so invisible in STEM programs and careers. I read about a study conducted in Greece where students were interviewed on the relationship between gender and tech. The results of the study showed that women were seen as either tech experts or women, and when it came to stereotypical terms like nerd or geek, they weren't associated with females unless the woman was willing to compromise her female identity. Most women, when choosing a program of study or career path, would gravitate towards what was called strategic conformism, which basically entails compromising in the job field to make their transition easier. So even though they were qualified for jobs involving math and tech, the stigma was so harsh for them that women leaned toward different jobs that wouldn't put them under the scope as much. I also found this quote from the study interesting. It said, "The reason for their self-exclusion lies in the fact that to assume a dominant position within the technological discourse, they need to renounce their socially accepted position as women." I looked into another study that went into why these gender roles exist in our society. The study stated that women are shaped by the roles imposed on them by the technologies they choose to interact with. Social tendencies and stigmas exclude women as early as the first few months of their life. They receive these influences from toys in the media, and they don't really have many female role models in the media to relate to. In fact, an Australian study asked teens, both male and female, to name an example of women in digital tech, and over half surveyed could not even identify a single woman. I also found this quote interesting. It said, "In relation to women's presence in the media, studies agree that they appear much less frequently than men, and when they do appear, women are relegated to secondary roles, stereotyped and removed from narratives of innovation." So even if women are in the media, their roles are secondary and they aren't shown as creators or innovators or inventors, so there are no models for young girls to look up to. The study also looked into gaming and coding. Games aren't being marketed towards girls. The games that are produced for them don't present real challenges. The study mentioned how Toys R Us marketed 24 engineering and building games for boys in 2014 and just 1 for girls. Combine that with peer and family influences that aren't interested in games, and it's easy to see why girls aren't attracted to gaming. This quote struck me. It said, "Toys R Us confirms that girls may like technology, but boys build it." And the reason that's happening is because companies like Toys R Us aren't marketing towards them. They're sending it all towards the boys and not to the girls. So we've been over why this issue is important, but there are ways we can solve this problem. There are many programs out there now geared entirely towards getting girls involved in STEM. I looked into 3 different programs reaching out to girls of all ages. I have the sites here and I'm going to explain each one in a little bit of detail, but I also have the address here in case you want to look into any of them further. There's a lot more programs that exist out there, but these were the 3 that I found reached a variety of different learners and different age levels with girls. So the first one is Girl Start. Girl Start is a company whose mission is to increase girls' interest and engagement in STEM by immersing them in STEM-related activities. They host a summer camp for girls from 4th to 8th grade, which creates experiences for them to work together as a team and solve hands-on problem activities. They also have after-school programs that you can host at a school for 4th and 5th grade girls. And they even have their own planetarium that they let families visit monthly on different themed nights. Sci Girls Connect is a TV program on PBS Kids that aims to get girls more into science-related fields of study. They have a whole bunch of TV episodes, and they also provide actual science activities and experiments on their website that girls can do at home or at school. It lists the materials, the instructions, and the games for the girls so they can access it at home whenever they want. The last program I looked into was Girls Who Code. It interested me because we do coding in summer school, and a lot of my girls get really into it, but we don't really have the opportunity to do it much in school. I'd like to see more girls get into it. They have clubs that can be hosted in schools, libraries, or community centers, and they also have after-school programs for 2 hours a week. You can even get it on the weekends. They even have a summer program that is free for girls in 10th or 11th grade. I noticed when I was conducting research on a lot of these different girls STEM programs is that a lot of them are offered for free. So they're really trying to get girls interested in pursuing these tech-related and math-related and science-related fields at an early age. As you can see, a lot of these programs are trying to access the girls' interests from a very early age. A lot of them in elementary school, and it also goes throughout high school. So when their interests are more specific, they can gear that towards STEM-related fields. So these are ways that people are trying to get girls more involved in STEM programs. But obviously there's still much to do to change how girls are viewed in STEM-related fields. Here are sources from all of our research, including mine and Kelsey's. Thanks for watching.